Hello, and you're welcome to yet another edition of Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. As you all know, Cleveland TV in Diaspora is an online platform created with a vision to bring you closer to the entire universe. Please don't forget to sign up with us on www.cleveland.com. All right, we are still on Arusha 2023, which is FESTAC Africa Destination Arusha 2023. And my guest this morning is Ms. Sally Kimanju. Ms. Sally Kimanju is the founder and CEO Destination in Africa. You're welcome to the program, huh?
Thank you. Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, good to have you with us. All right, we'll start with this. Could you please tell the audience who Sally Kimanju is?
Thank you. A lovely morning right here in Botswana. Sally Kimangu wears many hats, but in this particular session, she's an educator. So I've been in the space of education technology for about getting to the third decade, working on education in different spheres of education in Africa, and much more focusing on sub-Saharan Africa.
That's a good one. You talked about education. Let's get to know what Destination Africa is all about. Because when you mention such a name, Destination Africa, one would want to oh, is this all about tourism? But you just mentioned you're into the field of education. So Destination Africa, which is your company, what is your primary or main focus?
Yes, our company's name is Destination Imagination Africa, which is part of a global community that focuses on STEAM education. This is after assessing some of the issues we're going through in Africa, having worked across the continent and much more working with marginalized communities and doing an assessment on where are we, where should we be, why are we here? Why do we still have a very high rate of unemployment? Why we don't have opportunities for our youth? What are they struggling with? How can we fix education? How can you deal with corruption, bureaucracy, issues that are truly affecting not just youth, but literally everyone in Africa? And when we get to asking ourselves those questions, then we partner with global communities that some of them have done extensive research on education. They have some modules they've tried. They've seen what has worked and what hasn't worked. Doesn't mean everything that works in the West will work in Africa. But then we work on, can we customize rather than constantly reinvent the wheel? Can we pick what is working there and see how we can place it in Africa and bring the change we want to see in Africa? So that is how Destination Imagination Africa was born, where we partnered with a global organization that's based in USA, they're in New Jersey, that have been in the space of STEAM education for the past 30 years. Yes, of course, we have many other organizations we run within Destination Imagination. We fondly call it DI. We have Edisto Africa, which is still our organization. Edisto Africa is about 22 years old, that focuses on distribution of educational resources, gadgets. We talk about robots, VR sets, software curriculums, literally everything. We have Discovery Club as well, that focuses on training children. So yes, we take care of DI and literally quite a number of spaces on education in Africa.
All right, we're going to go fully into STEAM education and how it affects the future of Africa. But before we get to that, let's take a look at the fourth industrial revolution. I went through your page and I saw something of that nature. When you say the fourth industrial revolution, what is the idea all about?
Thank you. A very good question. Getting back to, since we started with the first, the second, the third, the boom started with the third industrial revolution, the introduction of internet. And that was like a wake-up call for the rest of the world. And Africa needs to catch up and not be left behind. So when we talk about 4IR, we're literally getting into focus on, can we catch up with the wave? How can Africa be able to benefit and leapfrog and ensure that we're able to sort out some of the critical issues we're facing? And with 4IR, there has been a huge change, especially within the education space. And getting into that, it's been a little bit of not as easy, not a walk to the park, where we know change is inevitable. And change has to be there. Yet sometimes we're not very much accustomed to change. That's one challenge. And another challenge is, as we want to change, the resources we need to have. Do we have the resources? So when we talk about embracing 4R, specifically talking about 4R in education, we're looking at technology. How can we be able to integrate our everyday learning with tech? How can we do maths using tech? The world has moved. Right now, we're talking about artificial intelligence. We're talking about ChatGPT. It's a huge shift that when I do my research on where are we in Africa with this and where the rest of the world is, yet we have the greatest untapped resource, which is our youth, then it leaves you asking, are we just going to sit and watch? And if we do, what are we going to tell our grandchildren? What did we do? We were there, we saw it. Did we rise up to the occasion? Did we deal with issues of gender? Or we still have the child in the village waking up and going to fetch water and just getting to know, since I'm a girl child, I just need to wait until I'm 15 and get married. And that is it. So there has been a lot of questions we've asked ourselves, and we're trying to address them every day. And we're seeing some results.
That's all right. Now, in the world of IT and artificial intelligence,
Excuse me.
sorry, and there's so many other issues. Let's take a look at STEM now. It used to be STEM, right? But now you said it has migrated to STEM.
Yes.
All right, the concept of STEM, can you just give us a bit analysis about this?
Yes. Yes.
STEM
So
technology.
STEM, it's interesting when we talk about STEM, especially in Africa. It looks like a very new system. But STEM has been there for quite some years. And especially in the first world, within President Obama's administration, STEM education was much more amplified, which then it's so much transformed into STEAM education. So when you talk about STEM, we're talking about science, technology, engineering. We put arts, so that's where we go for STEAM, and mathematics. And what we're looking at is within A, we need arts. And within arts, our organization, arts represent creativity, communication, collaboration, problem solving, literally looking at the soft skills part of raising a child. So yes, so we're looking into having an integration of STEAM education, which is not just a methodology of teaching in a specific way, but also ensuring that we get those skills that are in STEAM education. And this is when we sit back and question, Africa is the second continent in the world that spends the biggest budget on education. So what is happening? Money we spend, governments put in a lot of money. So is it making sense when you look at the input versus the output? Is it possible that constantly the budget is big? Is it doing the right thing? Could it be possible that we could easily say what the child in class in Africa is learning today may not matter in the next 3 to 5 years? So what if what we're teaching, it's sort of, it's scary when you think about that. When you think we're waking up, sending our kids to school, yet a lot of governments in Africa, kids still pay, parents still pay for school fees. Exactly. So you're working so hard to raise money for school fees for something that may not matter in the next 3 to 5 years. So that is where we look into how can we integrate STEAM education, and we're looking at 21st century skills. What does the job market need right now? Maybe we have enough of those careers that we thought were needed then. Maybe we don't need them anymore. And maybe if we need them, they need them to be more advanced. I mean, as you know it, Franca, insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results.
Exactly.
Change is inevitable.
Exactly.
Yeah, we need to rise up.
Let's take a look at the African curriculum in the first place. You know, you're quite right when you said that Africans, we keep working with the same curriculum over and over again, and that once we are learning or teaching our kids now, might not be relevant in the next 2 or 3 years, which is quite true. Now, the government can we really do outside, don't really do anything outside the curriculum, the African educational curriculum, and how do we begin to impute STEM technology into the curriculum?
Thank you, Franca. Yes, one of the things we try to emphasize on as we do the baseline testing, the research on what is there and why isn't it working, why this is not working. It's important that we also try to benchmark with those who have done it extremely well. A case in point like Finland. Finland has a very unique model that is working. So we get back to our communities. And obviously, when we talk about education, there's nothing like one size fits all. So if I get to Malawi, we sit with the Ministry of Education in Malawi, sit with all the other stakeholders and look into what is your pressure point? Why, what is not working? Why what you started doing 20 years ago, 50 years ago, since you were colonized and stuff like that? How do we need to customize it? We also do the needs analysis on what opportunities are in that particular country. Like when you talk about South Africa, Botswana, even Congo, a lot of African countries, we have a lot of minerals. Yet, are we training kids on mining careers? Or constantly we have to look for experts to come and help us to mine because we still have a shortage of skills. So there is that needs analysis that's literally for every country. Not assuming that what's going to be resolved at a situation we're facing in Botswana, that the solution we come up with is going to be the solution for Tanzania, for Nigeria, for Sierra Leone. No, every country is unique. However, we work closely together and try to share from each other that this model is working for me. How about you try it? But then, can you still customize for it to suit yours? So looking at STEAM education and its integration, it has so much to do with the teaching methodologies. In Africa, we focus so much on theory than practicals. So with STEAM, practicals have to be there. Because currently we get a lot of graduates who, when you sit with them and you're showing them, this is a circuit board, this is an Arduino board, this is how you fix this and that. They're seeing it for the first time. So that has to change. Practicals have to be done. Then the other problem we have is we've not come up with a model of training on soft skills. So we have a lot of people with PhDs, with their masters in Africa, but they can't communicate, they can't collaborate, they can't problem solve. They can't, and especially problem solving. If we can create more problem solvers, we can create more people who are keen to create jobs. You get it? So you find like software engineers. Does it make sense that we have so many graduates from software engineering who cannot create a website for themselves? Or who cannot even think about sitting right where you are in your house in Nigeria? You can create a website for somebody in Australia. And you charge in dollars and you make good money. You get it? But then when we want to look at all that, we still need to get back into the root cause. If we don't teach them when they are young, then we're going to keep on repeating the same mistakes.
All right. When you say teaching them, the only way you can actually get there when they are young is through the education system, which is through the school itself. Now, if you agree with me, most of the private schools we have find they are trying to do one or two things in this regard to make sure they inculcate STEM education into their teachings. But in public schools, okay, for those at the grassroots level, for those that are not placed among the elite and all that, they still cannot afford what it takes to approach a school that has or that will be interested in STEM education. So for people of that nature, how do you really catch them young?
Thank you. So this is what you do. For us to get STEM education very firmly placed in education, it calls for various stakeholders. The community has to realize the need. The government, it's a very big stakeholder. Exactly. And obviously in Africa, yes, the private sector needs to support that. So the community, the government, and when I talk about the community, that is not just parents, but it takes, we can't run away from this. We are Africans, first and foremost. So we're still seeing it takes the village to raise a child. and the village needs to rise up to that occasion. So that's the community, including the parents, the extended family. They need to rise up to the occasion in so many different aspects. Then we have the government, we have the private sector, and then we have quote unquote non-government organizations, which are helping a lot. So we're obviously looking at the burden that the government has to make sure that this gets done. Obviously the parent, and a lot of creating awareness to make sure that this parent knows. So we have various strategies that we use to ensure that we are still on the campaign of creating awareness. Because as long as parents don't know what we're talking about, they're not interested, the government as well. So we have various stakeholders that are very, very passionate and keen to see change. And one of them is African Union. So we work closely with African Union, we work with ADEA, we work with MasterCard. We also work with quite a number of NGOs like UNICEF, UNESCO, that are pushing that agenda of education. So then that amplifies our voice that gets into the government coffers. And now we have ministries of education creating a STEAM education committee and also working on the integration of STEAM education in the curriculum. So as an organization, Destination Imagination, we have different channels of making sure that gets done. We have boot camps we run. Sometimes it could be one-day boot camp that is creating awareness in different parts of Africa. We have sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes it's subject to funding. And then we have a program we run throughout the year where schools on board and run a competition. Sometimes it can be 6 months, it can be 8 months, subject to the calendar year that you work it out with the schools. So this makes, this is, we don't want to have it like, or assume that fixing education, we're gonna strap our fingers and get it. It takes patience. It may not even be my generation to see to it that we're getting education where it is, but baby steps and just starting and making sure that everybody is in touch and gets that awareness. So from doing our boot camps and running our programs that we run and competitions, we work with media houses that become our voice. They help in telling our story. We showcase with a lot of activities. Currently, we have a team of youth that won a challenge we did as part of the Global Community 2021. They've been selected to go for USA Global Finals. That's going to be in May in the States. And they've worked very hard. So they are becoming the voice. They're becoming the experts, the thought leaders, the influencers for STEAM education in Africa. They're showing others, because they're 16 and 17, they're young. They're showing others, if I did it, you can do it. I'm from the village. I face the same realities as you do. So it can be done.
So thank you so much. We will take a short break here and return to talk more on Arusha 2023, your offerings in Arusha 2023, and also the future of work in Africa. We'll take a short break here and return shortly.
In the 21st century's technological advancement, we all seek opportunities to move and network with the emerging space. Introducing Clevenard blog and event posting. Do you think you have some interesting materials, good content, articles, and stories? Then feel free to publish them on Clevenard blog and events page, just as team of our writers are doing presently. By blogging on Clevenard's blogs and events, you benefit from our reach and network. There are a constant stream of people visiting our social platform, and we have figured out just how to distribute our contents. This means you can basically skip the line and get access to a big audience from day one. Furthermore, we can help you get in touch with important people for projects with possibilities of translating your content into other languages and republishing them on Clevenard. This helps preserve and protect your content from getting lost. What's more, you also get to be part of our team with access to our network and lots of exclusives, behind-the-scenes information. And of course, you get full credit for everything you do, which brings you popularity and make extra income. Sign up now on clevenard.com and start blogging to your advantage. Please see the tutorial video on how to blog or post events on Clevenard Blogs and Events. For more information, contact info@clevenard.com +34 631 279811. Website www.clevenard.com. Clevenard, your blogs, your identity.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still having a program Unfiltered Conversation on Clevenard TV, and we are still discussing the future of Africa as it relates to IT. All right, before we went to the short break, we started trying to take a brief analysis of what STEM technology is all about. And so my next question is going to come from there now. Now, we've worked with established institutions and then also with some students, if I'm not mistaken. Now, what is the penetration like? How will you x-ray the penetration of IT in Africa? And then would you say that Africa is ready for the future of work?
Thank you, Franca. Yes, initially I was skeptical and I was sort of on the fence. I was concerned about putting our kids on washing dirty linen in public. But our children in Africa have shown me we are ready. We got this. We can do it. Our realities of us being born poor, like most of us in Africa, makes us more resilient and extremely innovative. So when we look into some skills, some issues that are, as we work with both marginalized, and for us to come up with a good case study and do some better research, we also work with kids in the city because we have private schools doing our program. And it's a world of difference. It's truly a world of difference. The child in the village that wakes up and goes to fetch water or milks a cow to warm that milk and make breakfast and fetch firewood is like totally on a different level with the child in the city. The child in the city who works with a MacBook, an iPad, internet, a driver who takes the child to school. There's nothing wrong with it. That's a lucky child. But then there's a lot of much more training and growth that's needed to get that child to be a citizen of this world who can embrace diversity and be a key player in solving problems in Africa. So now getting into the global world, initially when we started doing competitions where we were competing with Japan, Singapore, USA, Australia, China, as an educator and a parent, I was a little bit intimidated. And what's going to happen? And guess what? We beat them. We beat them. So this strictly, or rather, this showcase, this is a very good showcase. That's innovation. That's resilience that our children have. And there's nothing wrong with our brain because we were born poor. There's nothing wrong with the skin of our color. It does not, where we're coming from. And actually, that's where we coin phrases like, my scars are my trophies. I can shine in spite of my background. And the person who has become a living testament to that is that child in the village. It can be done. So we've made a lot of progress. Yes, funding is constantly an issue, but we've also learned that we can't just sit back and cry. We can't do this and that because there's no money. So we've learned to implement STEAM education with recycled products. And that is where, when we talk about community engagement, we go back to the community and ask, how many electronics do you have that you no longer use in your house? And we collect that. And we teach kids STEAM education using those materials. So you find still on a shoestring budget, we're able to do it. And innovation happens, growth happens when things are tough. It's happening. I would refer you to our YouTube channels and you'll be super amazed to see the progress we get in Africa.
Currently, what part of Africa are you currently working with?
Okay, currently we have projects. We're doing a lot of work in Botswana. where we have trained about 4,000 children on STEAM education. We're doing some work. We're not where we would want to be, especially in South Africa. We're doing some work in South Africa, still within marginalized communities. We've done a lot of good work in Tanzania. In Tanzania, we've done a lot of teacher training, which is where the cornerstone is, because you train the teacher, then the teacher goes and trains the kids. We work a lot in Zanzibar. We also in Nigeria, where in Nigeria, the focus is much more on training kids, projects for children. We are in Mauritius. We are relatively new in Mauritius, but we're making great progress. And we're hoping to get into every corner.
Go ahead, please.
We're hoping to get into every corner of Africa. So we're getting a lot of inquiries from places like Côte d'Ivoire. We have a very good partner in Côte d'Ivoire. We might be launching there very soon. Liberia, Mali, Congo, Malawi, and Namibia, Lesotho as well. So it takes time because we work through partnerships. We need to get somebody who is pro STEAM education, community work, philanthropy. Then we partner with that person and they run the project. Yeah.
All right. All right, you're part of the project of FESTAC Africa Destination Arusha. Now let's take a look at that and then see what are your offerings? What are you offering in FESTAC Arusha 2023? What is your mission there?
Now, collectively, we have to keep on marketing Africa to our children. So we need that. We need to keep on showing them this is home. And home has a lot of resources. So it's important that we expose them, they interact, they get to know their history, they get to know their civic education. Excuse me. They get an appreciation of tourism, the diverse culture that's in Africa, and much more interact with other children in school. So we participated in FESTAC last year in Zanzibar, which is quite awesome. Yeah. We had children from Zanzibar that showcased their talent in coding and robotics. They went on stage and they were able to, in a very eloquent way, show the world this talent in Africa. So this time, we're looking at partnering with bigger communities. We're going to have Ubongo on stage. We're having innovation hubs from science centers. We're having universities, high schools, and primary schools to come and showcase their projects in STEAM education. There's going to be storytelling. It's a very important part of our training as we work on soft skills. And we're going to have Sarafina, who Sarafina is very much celebrated because we get so much into arts. We do drama. We're very musical. We actually, as you know, in Africa, there's no better way of telling our story. We do it, we dance when we are mourning, we dance when we are celebrating. So it's fun, just showing our diverse culture and making sure that we have all the communities from the government levels as our key stakeholders to parastatals, NGOs, private sector coming on board. So some people will be presenting the structures they've created, their innovation using robots, their robotic innovation, others something through AI. Some have created brilliant solutions to solve existing problems in their community. So we will have workshops, we'll have sort of a makerspace where you can come and experience. We give adults an opportunity to experience what is coding, how do we build a robot, what problems can it solve? And we'll have competitions at the same time. So don't miss this. It's going to be fun.
That's right. So so if I was, for example, I want to be a participant and I want to be part of the project in Arusha 2023, how do I go about it?
Great. So you log onto our website, which is www.diforafrica.org. You register and you get all the information, the registration. We try as much as we can not to charge marginalized community. So for marginalized community, it's going to be free of charge. There's a little fee for educators and for private schools for them to participate.
It's all right. I would like to take these questions. I wouldn't want us to drag it, but at times one gets so bored that when you say what is going on in Africa, then see how other world, the Western world to be precise, how they are far ahead of us in terms of IT and all that. Now, how do we, or what does it really take to build the Africa that we all want to see in the future?
Thank you, Franca. I love your questions. The key and the most critical thing we need is to understand partnership, especially smart partnerships, because we can do this on our own, and much more partnering with the global community. That is where I benchmark a lot, and I work a lot with the first world. I work a lot with Finland, with organizations in USA, in Europe, in China. So that collaboration makes us get to know how we can easily integrate and partner with them and help them bring some of the solutions they have to and solve our existing problems. So smart partnerships are critical. Then obviously, government, just still forging those partnerships with our key stakeholders. Government as a policymaker needs to be in the room, so which the government is very receptive, and the community as well. Creating this sort of awareness, we have partnerships with broadcasting houses where we keep on making sure people are getting to know. We also do a lot of events. Just getting to see every day we're making some steps. We now have so many other organizations that are coming up, which we're embracing and encouraging them. This can be done, let's do it. And we're excited to see that the project is also creating a lot of jobs. It's creating a lot of jobs, it's a big thing for us in Africa, especially for our youth.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much. Now, let's take a look at an equal society. Do you think there can actually be an equality in education in Africa?
I didn't get that, Franca.
All right. When we talk about an equal society, one would say, okay, to have an equal society will mean developing the economic hub of any nation. Now, do you think that in attaining an equal society where everything works perfectly, is it possible to get an equality in education in Africa?
Franca, it can be done. It's not going to be easy, but we obviously need the political will. We need communities getting together, but it can be done. If you take case in point where a lot of schools in Europe, they're run by the government, there are very few private schools. Rwanda is one of the countries that's trying that in Africa by just making sure the quality of education that's offered in private schools is pretty good. So that just narrows the gap slowly by slowly. So I live to wait and hope for the day that African governments will come up with a model that it doesn't matter where the child is born, your economic realities, you being able to access the resources that are there, looking at, we are all taxpayers. So the gap should not be where it is. That child in the village deserves the quality of education that the child in the city is getting, or the child from a well-to-do parent. So with that political will, as long as we keep on making sure that the next generation, those who are coming after us, can still hold the spirit of Ubuntu. Hoping you know the meaning of that word, Franca.
I don't. I was about to ask him to please explain that.
So I think in Southern Africa, we call it Ubuntu. In East Africa, we call it Harambe. I don't know what we call it in West Africa, but it's literally...
I'm in Nigeria.
We're from Nigeria. There must be a way you call it in Nigeria. It's the spirit of togetherness, solidarity.
Oh, unity? Wow.
What do you call it?
I guess I haven't even thought of that. I can't place it right now, but I'll think of it after this interview. So let's go.
You've been too Western.
Let's go ahead.
Come back home.
Yes,
so
we'll try and do that.
You see, but you understand what I say, what I mean when I say
exactly.
That it takes the village to raise a child. That runs across Africa, right? It takes the village. some of us, it took the community. I am from Kenya, and Kenya, we have a very strong culture of building schools, building community projects. So it wasn't like, I can't claim to my dad and my mom are the ones who took me to school. No, the community contributed. So we do a lot of fundraising to send kids to universities. We build schools. And I see it happening in so many different parts of Africa. So it's that spirit, that togetherness, that energy of you're my brother's keeper. The philanthropy spirit, that's what we call Ubuntu. So I need the word for Nigeria.
I'll do research and get back to you on that, please. All right, let's take a look at the future of work again, and as it concerns the African youth. All right, so what viable market can those in IT or those that have knowledge of artificial intelligence and those that are into digital marketing, can the Africa youth, okay, leverage on as it stands?
I'm glad you're mentioning the topic I love most. We actually very much integrate a lot of digital citizenship, digital skills, entrepreneurship within our training. So what we look into, especially when we train from high school up to university level, start thinking as an entrepreneur. So within the solution you're coming up with, solve a problem existing within your community. And then we use methodologies like project-based learning and a lot of research. Project-based learning is where you solve that problem as a group of 5 or 7 students. You're going to have conflict. You'll fight at some point. You'll learn how to get along. You'll learn how to assign tasks. You will learn how to respect time because you're working it together. We also give them a budget, which in most cases is not more than $200. Whether you're doing a project for 7 months, $200. That is just making it very minimum so that you learn how to be innovative. So within that, you get to see when we are faced with challenges, we think outside the box and we become extremely innovative. Okay. So each of our projects is integrated with technology. And within technology, we are looking into the problem-solving skills. How can you get your product ready for the market? Can you sell that idea? Can you come up with a solution that we can take to the market? We did one project last year after FESTAC in Zanzibar with university students from Suza State University of Zanzibar. These are students who had graduated the year before. So they graduated 2020. We did 2021, we did the project 2022. And what was amazing was to see the lack of soft skills can be quite a challenge within our communities. So we have an idea, but we don't know how to bring it to life. We don't know how to take it to the market. We came up with solutions that the Minister of Education offered to get them funding to scale them up for the market. Now, when I keep on checking how those students are doing, most of them got very high profile jobs from that. Others created their own jobs. And others have come up with their own collaboration of a community they've put together where they are solving problems together and coming up with their own companies. So where I see Africa getting, we're going to create more entrepreneurs as an outcome of problem solvers, which need that so that we create jobs. We have now, part of my training or DI training, we touch a lot on digital marketing, which it's a skill that if a youth can get in Africa, straight up you can be able to create jobs. Right now we're about AI jobs. Of people more jobs and creating more wealth. I think that we have about 50 companies that have made more than 20 million US dollars in and of. I mean, how old is ChatGPT? It's less than 4 months. It was launched sometimes in so if we don't embrace technology, too bad. So we're on that campaign. Can we have more youth thinking on how can we solve problems using AI, which is something that every company, literally every company, needs to integrate everything that they're doing with artificial intelligence. Otherwise, it's going to get tough. But we're not waiting for it to get tough. We are ready. We are woke. We are rising up to the occasion.
That's all right. Thank you so much, Ms. Sally. Now, I would like to ask this second to last questions, and then we wrap up. FESTAC Arusha 2023. How do you rate the event this year? Where do you see Destination Imagination Africa after FESTAC Arusha 2023?
Thank you, Franca. DI is growing and growing at a quite impressive rate. We started within COVID, just before COVID. So this is a project born out of COVID.
Wow.
We've had some challenges, especially this being new in Africa. It takes time, where for us to launch in any particular country, it starts with signing up an MOU with the government, creating partnerships and smart partnerships. So what we're looking into is, we're excited that FESTAC seems to have attraction of more than 40 countries in Africa that will come to showcase their brilliance, the innovation in whichever category. We work a lot on education tourism, which tourism is a big revenue earner in Africa, and we need to proudly show that. So we're expecting to have at least 4,000 students that will come within the FESTAC season. And we are excited about forging more smart partnerships with various stakeholders, other organizations, not just in Tanzania, but in Burundi, which Burundi is playing a key role, in Rwanda, in Uganda, Kenya. And we have some organizations coming from Seychelles. We have Mauritius coming. And as well, organizations coming from Europe. Germany is going to be in the house. So it will be an important discussion to have on what is working in your country. Have you introduced team education? What innovation is there? What can we learn from you, and what can you learn from us? And much more for our children to get that exposure.
So are you expecting schools, maybe head of schools, proprietors of institutions and all that, to be part of this experience?
Yes, we work closely with schools associations. Like in Tanzania, we're very close to the Tanzania schools. We have 2 strong schools associations in Tanzania. We work very closely together, and those are key partners in South Africa as well, in Kenya, in Botswana, and Nigeria. So the associations bring their teachers. Where their teachers, we run our workshops that we train them, and we focus so much on training a trainer system. So we train the trainers, we train key teachers, and then they go train others, and ultimately introduce projects within their schools. Our ultimate goal is to make sure that every school has a STEAM club, which is sustainable and scalable. To an extent, we're not talking about every school. It's to a point where every class has a corner. There's a maker space, there's a thinking space, there's a place that you can go innovate and try, create things, use your hands, experience, make mistakes, and learn from them.
I thank you so much. I'd like you to leave us with a last word for one, the government, then youth, okay, as regarding ICT.
Thank you, Franca. Regarding ICT, my call to every person, not just in Africa, across the globe, the time is now. The time is now. Tech is here to stay. And we either embrace it or we're doomed. This is not a nice to have, it is a must have. Embracing technology in literally everything you do. It makes your life easy, it solves a lot of problems. So we need to stop sitting on the fence. We need to get in the room, create smart partnerships, and make AI our partner, our friend. AI will not take jobs if we don't let AI take jobs. AI will help us create more jobs and give us economic stability. Thank you.
Yes, all right. Thank you so much, Salim Timangu. Thank you for being my guest today on this edition of Unfiltered Conversation.
Thank you very much, Franca. It's been my pleasure.
Same here. And so, viewers, we'll draw the curtain here for today and do hope to come your way next time with another guest on this program to discuss the future of Africa. Like you heard the guest today said, the responsibility of building Africa, the responsibility of tomorrow's child, the responsibility of creating an enabling environment, okay, in our workplace for our child or the youth of tomorrow rests with each and every one of us. I'll take it out here, Nancy. You have a blessed day. Bye.